Welcome back to the Daily Ramble. This is another soft-spoken video because I really enjoyed making the last one and I enjoyed listening to it, and I have a feeling that maybe that's going to be a recurring theme on my channel, is soft-spoken videos, in addition to whispering, of course. So I might have to change it to just the daily ramble rather than the daily whisper ramble, because I won't necessarily be whispering all the time. So thank you again to the viewer who suggested soft-spoken. Maybe you've changed my whole life. We'll see. So today I have some ideas. I have this iron pin, and I have jewelry, and I have my thoughts. So by that I mean I can ramble and I can make noises with the iron pin against other metal objects, or just do some tracing with it. I got this at a little shop in a really cute town about an hour away from where I live. It's the same shop where I got Francis. Do you remember Francis? I'll show you again. Maybe you haven't seen my other videos, but Francis is a little iron mouse. Oh, he's backwards. Now you can see his face. And I introduced him. He's kind of like my mascot. So Francis and the iron pin came from the same place. Heck, we all come from the same place, right? Oh, it's raining. Do you hear that? I wonder if the mic picks that up. So, the woman at the shop told me, she said, you nail this into your wall and then you have a fancy rustic hook. It seems like it would leave a really big hole if you ever wanted to take it out. But that's just how it is. So, why is Francis my mascot? I don't know, but I have a lot of little animal figurines. But I feel like Francis is the one I identify with most. Maybe it means I'm kind of mousy. I know that maybe that's what it was. When I was a kid, my imaginary friend was a mouse. An anthropomorphic mouse, of course. And apparently I used to tell very long stories. I used to ramble on about my friend, the imaginary mouse. I threw her a birthday party once. We have it on video. And I invited several dolls and set up a table for us and handed out imaginary cake. Of course, it was cheesecake. So maybe that's why Francis is my mascot. Not maybe. I think that that's a good explanation. So I'm going to set him down. Maybe we'll just do some skin scratching, some necklace scratching. So this is a string of fake pearls from my grandmother. Makes a nice noise. I'd love to hear downstairs in the comments below. Yeah, downstairs. Downstairs from this video. I'd love to hear if you had an imaginary friend as a kid. I think those are just the funniest stories. And in fact, not that long ago, I went to the movies with my friend and his daughter, and we saw that movie, If, which is about imaginary friends. It was fine. It was an okay movie. But I do like the theme of imaginary friends, and they did capture that there's so many different things that children imagine, as in things, as in friends. Anything can really be your friend. People, animals, objects. But my mouse friend, I have like clear memories of the little like mouse hole in cartoons, like the cartoon mouse hole. I have clear memories of seeing those in my mind's eye, at least, all over the house. And that's where my imaginary friend would come in to the room, was through these cartoon mouse holes in the baseboard. And it's weird that it's like a memory, but I imagined it at the same time. So what does that say about our memory? If something completely imaginary can be just as clear a memory as something that's not imaginary. I'm just wearing a little tank top. The house is nice and cozy and warm, even though there's a cold rain outside. It finally got cold again. But we have radiators. Did you hear that? It's the radiator. And so it's a very cozy heat. I'm wearing my rings that I showed you guys in my jewelry video. This is the cameo ring. This is my garnet ring. And this is another, I think it's a garnet, but I got this one from a flea market, so they didn't know. This one's from an estate sale, so they knew what it was. And then I have on my brass bracelet and my watch. Oh my gosh, it's already 9 o'clock at night, according to my watch. And of course I updated it for daylight savings. And then I have on some gold hoops. And I even have a really big hoop in my cartilage. So, yeah, imagination and memory. Memory is a funny thing, and so is imagination. I use my imagination a lot, not for imaginary things anymore, but I like to work with my hands. And the first step in working with your hands is your imagination. Because you have to imagine what you're going to make. So whether I'm sewing or cooking or gardening, it happens first up here. So I'm very often, especially with sewing, because it's very complex, I can get really lost in my imagination, thinking about what I'm going to make. And it's a lot of fun. And you have to imagine everything in 3D. Because you have to do it in the right order. It's like cooking in that way. If you don't do things in the right order, it does not turn out in the way that you imagined it to. Oh, and I forgot to mention, there's a little, where is it? There's a weensy little heart on this chain. So it's a gold chain with a silver heart. If you hear that noise, it's like a I think that's the radiators. That's just gonna be happening this winter. Ain't nothing I can do about it. It's cold, especially as it gets colder. As it's cold tonight, it's going down to freezing. Which is a good thing, because that's what the season is for, is freezing. Although I might bundle up and go out for a walk after this. I'm a big walker. It's kind of my only form of exercise. But I don't think that's a terrible thing. I've tried to get into running. When I was growing up, I did ballet and I ran track and stuff. But as an adult, walking is where it's at. Walking and just like keeping active in my life in general without really deliberately doing anything. I was going to a gym for like a week and with my friend, and I really enjoyed the gym. Actually, I was surprised. But then life got in the way, as it does with something like that, and I never went back. But that wasn't that long ago, so yeah, we'll see. Maybe I'll start going to a gym again. I think weightlifting is really good for you. It really helps maintain your strength as you get older. It helps support, it helps, what am I trying to say? It maintains bone mass as well, so you don't get osteoporosis. Something like that. It's so funny, all these like facts that I think I know. When I say them on camera, I'm like, but do I know that? And yet they're things that in my mind, they're true. I know them. But it's very hard to articulate why I know it, how I know it. Doesn't mean that it's definitely wrong. It's just funny how when you have an audience, it's hard to feel confident. And you have to wonder about public figures whose job it is to say facts in public. You really have to know your stuff. Like, you really have to know it. I'm more of an intuitive thinker than a factual thinker, which is probably why I like the ramble format. I mean, who wants to listen to a list of facts? Unless you're learning about a specific topic. I do love facts. My father taught history before he retired, so there's a lot of history books in our house growing up. There were a lot of history books in our house growing up. And so I was always, in the days before children were on screens all the time, I often had my nose in history books of his. And I found them fascinating, and I'm still fascinated by history. So I love reading about facts. I love reading about things that happened. I love reading about objectively true things, but retaining that information and then using it in conversation. I lack confidence with knowing that I'm saying what I've read. So, the same thing that I read, I should say. But I don't think I'm the only person who's like that. And it's not a terrible thing. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm not. These are good straps. I'm not saying that I'm a bad person or that anyone is a bad person if they're bad at remembering facts. Because I like my mind, I like how I think. But just on the topic of speaking in front of a camera, it makes me very aware of that facet of my personality or my mind. Oh, I brought some other things to kind of very lightly, very, very lightly. Maybe, we'll see. Scratch with this pin. This is a candle holder, but it's empty. Who's gonna watch this video if I say ASMR metal scraping? I'm not gonna call it that because that sounds really horrible, right? Do you disagree or do you agree with me? I don't think it's that bad. I think it's kind of nice. Plus, I think it's good to try different triggers to see what people like. To get feedback. I finally figured out a nice background, which is gray. It's not white. It's not black. It's gray. And the reason for that is because the white background, as I'm sure you noticed on my first video with this new lighting setup, is that it was so reflective. It was like hard to watch. It looked really cool, but it was hard to watch. And I thought after that one, I actually recorded a whole video that I trashed because it used that background. And then I tried a very dark gray, which was basically a black background. And then I think it would only work if I was wearing a white shirt and most of the screen was white. Like in the video with the white background where that backfired. With a really dark background, it could work. But in this video where you see mostly my skin color, tan. Neither white nor black really made a lot of sense, because on the black background, anything that's not in front of me gets lost if it's even remotely dark. So I think that this is a good setup and a good compromise. Well, it's not really a compromise, it's a solution, right? It's a good solution. So oh, I have this too. This is a doorknob. Now this doorknob was I bought it at a flea market or something, and I put it on my door in an apartment once. You can just replace the doorknob. Did you know that? Because I wanted my own doorknob. I wanted a special doorknob. And it was a very special place, a very special apartment. And part of that was the doorknob, because that's the portal. It's the entryway. It was a symbolic act. Do you hear the train? That's miles away from here, but it's very loud. I'm gonna leave that in. I like it. I don't want to edit that out. It's also special. Freight train, gone so fast. Freight train, gone so fast. Please don't tell them which train I am on, so they don't know which way I am gone. Do you know that song? Freight Train. I think it's Elizabeth Cotton. A lot of people have covered it though, because it's a great song. A classic folk song. That's a nice sound. The varied rhythm. Well, my little munchkins, I think the time has come to say adieu. No? Yes. The time has come to say adieu. Thank you so much for joining me. Please leave lots of comments telling me what you think, suggesting more for the future, for tomorrow, for the next day. Since I make videos every day, your suggestions have a good chance of coming to fruition. So I'd love to hear from you. And I bid you adieu. I hope you have a wonderful time, whatever you're doing and wherever you are and whoever you are. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your energy. Ciao.